What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Quad Shot Podcast. As always, we're fired up and we're stoked to be here. It is episode 18. 18 today we got for you. And yeah, we're feeling good. We got a lot in store for you today. Rome, what are you sipping on? Talk to me, brother.
I got you, brother. I'm loud and clear. I got a Quad Shot iced latte. So we're doing well.
Is that whole milk in there? It looks light.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Whole milk.
Okay.
What's going on with you? You been good?
I've been good, brother. Yeah. No, sipping on some yerba. This is actually my second of the day. I've already been. Yeah. So
how many milligrams in each? Do you know, caffeine wise or no?
It's like 2 shots of espresso. So this by the end of this cup,
Nice.
I'll be on 4.
It's quad.
That's a quad.
It's quad shot.
Yeah.
That's why we're calling it quad shot.
So the merch is ordered and it is in the queue, and we got some colors and we got some fun stuff, and there's limited supply on this first order. So we're gonna be doing a lot of like handing out to our day one listeners, people, you know, big supporters, family members, and people like that. But we will have shirts for purchase as well. So keep an eye out for that. We will keep you guys updated on the social media, and you'll be able to find that through our website when that time comes. Very exciting. What else we got? Oh yeah. Do you want to talk about the event at all?
I think we should touch on it. So
let's touch on it,
guys. Aiden and I are going to putting a lot of thought and effort into this event. It's going to be based on really what we talk about in this podcast. A lot of the subject matter we talk about, the books we've been reading, the new book that is like a perfect segue into this event. This event's going to be held in July. It's going to be on Cape Cod, and it's going to be for young adults and teenagers who are, you know, from different backgrounds, different walks of life, but Cape Cod, hopefully, you know, people from the Cape, wherever. The event title is going to be, what is it? The Champion
Within. And the age group is going to be from 12 all the way to 18 plus, and there will be categories, 12 to 13. So it's a physical event. And this physical event is going to have, obstacles or, challenges ahead that not only require, physical exertion, but also, mental fortitude. So the reward system is basically going to be people who push themselves the hardest physically and mentally, and we'll kind of gauge that. But the whole event really is to help instill mindset into the younger generation and give back to the community. So that is 100%. Going to take place on Cape Cod in July. And it is geared to give back to, the community, and, anyone's welcome. There's going to be food trucks. There's going to be, there's a lot of stuff to iron out, but we're just mentioning it now because we're getting fired up and we're planning it, and it's going to be really fun. And we want to get the word out there. So keep your eye out for that. There'll be a lot of social media advertisement, posters, word of mouth, stuff like that. So we're going to get everything together, and we're going to get it all geared up and fired.
So we're hosting our first in-person Quad Shot event. We're super excited.
It's gonna be sick.
There's gonna be more to come, guys. We're just starting this thing off, and we're really excited. So really, it kind of expanded just from our content and our drive and mission to start this podcast, right? So it's like, how do we want to impact people's lives? And we didn't couldn't think of a better way to do that than an actual event in person, connecting with our community and our audience and everyone involved. So
this is our mission, right? That's why we do it.
Yeah. Yep. And we're really looking forward to it. And more details to come as we continue to uncover and unpack, what that event looks like from more of a granular level, guys. All right.
And we'll keep you posted.
We're going to keep you guys posted. I'm ripping Quad Shot right here.
Let's go. Take a hit. Let's see it. Was that it?
It's like a big one.
Nice.
So, guys, we started a new book. We're bringing it to you. Before we get into Aiden's Buzz of the Day, we're going to be reviewing after Do Hard Things, Chapter 1.
Yep. That comes after Buzz of the Day.
Yep. So I will let you get into Buzz of the Day, and then we'll get into Chapter 1.
Yeah, so Do Hard Things, Steve Magnus. I really like the first chapter, but we'll get into that. Buzz of the Day. Bobby Knight. Buzz of the Day. I got Buzz of the Day this week. I'll take heed. And this is something that just really kind of hit me this week. And, I was looking back on, the past and all the all the habits that I've created for myself now that I do, part of my ritual, part of my routine, part of my structure, are they started as ideas. They started as little inklings, hope that one day I could consistently do this, no matter what it is, eat healthy, exercise, you know, um, small things. So the quote that I curated for Buzz of the Day this week is consistency builds habits, right? And consistency of anything can build habits, whether that's good or bad. So if you're doing something that is negatively affecting your physical health, whatever that may be, and you're doing it consistently, that's going to become a habit. If you're doing something that is positively affecting your physical health and you're doing it consistently, that's going to become a habit as well. So you really have to kind of take a step back and think to yourself, um, what is something that positively affects me? What is something that makes me better, feel better, do better, show up, better? Whether that be integrating 10 minutes a day of meditation, right, into your daily routine. So the consistency part is really, really important because after a while of doing something over and over and over again, even sometimes when you don't want to do it, it's going to become it's almost going to feel like a necessity, right? It's like, wow, say you go to the gym every, 5 to 6 days a week for 3 months, and then you have a week where you're not going to the gym. That week where you're not going to the gym is going to feel weird now because you've been doing it so often, right? But let's say before that 3 months, you didn't really work out that much. That's just another week, So building that consistency, building healthy habits, right? In my past, personally, I have built negative habits, right? Stuff that has definitely negatively affected my mental health and my physical health. And I just did them over and over and over again because maybe because of the serotonin boost I got from whatever drug I was taking, or the alcohol that I was drinking, or the sex that I was having, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like you do it, and
you get in this cycle of just like wanting it more,
right?
Because those are the only times during your day that you feel good. It's that immediate rush that flushes all those pain or all those negative thoughts away for that moment, and then you just want to crave that more and more and more.
Right, and the more you do it, the more solidified it becomes into your life. And that's how addiction starts, right? So 100%. It's a balance, and it's finding a healthy flow of consistency. So what do you want to incorporate into your structure? What do you want to incorporate into your routine? When I first made the transition from going to the gym before work rather than after, I had to start waking up at 5, which I hadn't been doing prior. And the first day fucking sucked, right? And then I had weeks after that where I'd fall out and not do it and fail, maybe a day, and then fail, and then, boom, feel bad and say, oh, I'll go to the gym, tomorrow after work instead, and then you don't do it, right? I had all those little failures. I had all those little things and the kinks along the way. But now, time after time after time, waking up at 5 a.m., pushing myself past that little voice in my head that, is stopping me from doing it, showing up and doing it, I realized the benefits that I gained from it, right? So the reason that I shifted going and exercising prior to work was so I could have more time after work to do things that sometimes don't feel like sometimes the gym sucks, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd rather do that in the morning.
Get it out of the way.
not get because it's something that I want to do too, right? I want to do it for myself, but it's also something that I need to do in order to keep myself in check and physically and
Yeah, the only reason I
where I
bring that
want
up
to
is
be.
that everyone's lying to you if they say that every single day they go to the gym, they're excited about the gym.
Right.
Not every day, not every single day of your life, you're going to be in peak 100% shape or feeling the best, right? Like, so, but you have to do it, right? It's
Right.
about discipline. It's
Yeah.
about consistency. If you don't do it and push through the moments that you don't feel good, you're never going to do it.
Exactly.
You're never going to be consistent.
Exactly. And yeah, so basically it really sucked at first when I made that, transition to the 5 a.m. gym. But as I started to do it more and more and more, I realized the benefit. It created more time and more space for me after work to do other things, to take care of myself and do, be creative and, put my focus elsewhere. So it became easier. And as I realized the benefits, that made it even easier as well. So now, not only did it suck at first and I didn't want to do it, now I love to do it and I want to do it because I know how good it is for me. And now my body is used to it, so it's easier to do it than it was. There's way less resistance than there was in the beginning because I built that habit, right? So I was
100%.
consistent, I stayed consistent, and now that that habit is more solidified, it is so much easier to do it. And it's so daunting at first, right? And like I said, you can fail at it, but you got to get into that pick yourself back up attitude and try it again, because like I said, each thing starts as a little inclination. Each thing starts as an idea. And if you really want it, you have to do it consistently. What's something in your life where you feel like you've transitioned into something that is really uncomfortable, that you consistently you not pushed past, but you were able to navigate through the discomfort and take away the benefits from it, and now it's something that feels much more comfortable, a lot less foreign to you, and now it's a habit, right?
Yeah, it's a great question. I will say the gym, I force myself to go, even if I don't want to go. Probably 90% of the time, like, oh, it's going to be a hard one, but I go.
Mm-hmm.
But I love what kind of shape I'm in now, and like the body I built, and like the strength and the athleticism. I'm keeping that going, which I feel great about.
Right.
So that's an easy one. But I also would say somewhere I didn't want to go. I literally was forced to go junior year of high school to therapy.
Yep.
My mom dragged me there, and I was like, I really needed it, and I was at a very low spot. I think my grandmother just died, and dealing with a lot of mental, anxiety and health stuff, and wasn't in a good place. Still understanding like how my brain works, all that stuff. And I ended up going, and each time I went, I was like, we're gonna get into the nitty gritty. I was scared about sometimes like how these emotions would present, and like a lot of people don't get help because they're scared of sitting with those true emotions and those, I guess, dark moments or demons, right? But like the only way to see the other side and get out and understand yourself more and be emotionally intelligent and get past that is to literally sit there. And I'm not saying therapy is for everyone. For me, it was really beneficial in my experience, where I found someone that was easy to talk to. I was able to open up about things that I've been keeping away and stashing inside me for a long time. Insecurities, understanding more about my brain from a professional that I had no idea what was going on. I just thought I was depressed and, all this shit, suicidal, whatever. But it was really just like OCD, intrusive thoughts, anxiety. And I had no idea I didn't have any idea what that was, So like introducing, my therapist and like going every week in high school, continuing when I was in college, talking with her on the phone, like it really helped me understand. It's really just it instilled me with like knowledge about myself and like my surroundings and the experiences I've had.
Mm-hmm.
Because in college, if I had something that was like bothering me, I'd call, her and she would walk me through like, she's wise, she's, a little older. So she's, she talks to people like me, or like that's her job.
She's a professional.
People, what they go through, and then give you advice and feedback. So even if it's just someone that you don't have to go to therapy, like I said, but for me, she was a very beneficial asset for me to understand myself more. And that's something that I consistently kept going to. First, to be honest, my mom dragged me, which I'm grateful she did. And I was like, I got to do something to fix this and how I feel. So I can't continue this way. So yeah, that was something that I'm grateful for, that I stuck with and consistency and bred that consistency. Now I realize I understand my brain so much and understand who I am, that like I can kind of self-regulate myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the ideal like scenario. You get to a point where you're able to be your own therapist, right? And
Right.
and build that strength. And but that goes with anything in life. You know,
More
that's like, for
tools,
example,
yeah.
like if you want to learn how to shoot a gun, you're not just going to go load up a gun and just go start firing off guns. You're going to go probably a class. You're going to go read YouTube videos. You have to start somewhere. Nothing worth doing, or nothing that's a true skill, or we talk about, I think there's like that 10,000 hours put in and then you're
Mhm.
truly a master or whatever. Like you have to put in the time, because there's skills for a reason, right? And these are skills that not everyone has. So if you say, hey, like say if you're a rodeo, you're a professional, equine therapist or something, like that takes time to understand horses, or study that. It's actually, you can study those animals and how this horse is doing this because of this and this. Like
Takes time, takes
life is
consistency.
yeah, it takes time, and I put in the time. So that's an example. Those are maybe a few
So,
examples of.
Before we
Right.
move on from that example, let me ask you something. In the beginning, you said, your mom had to drag you, and then the weeks following, you did it every week, and the weeks following, you'd find yourself in like a place of like, you're scared to be with those emotions. However long it took you to get to a place of being more comfortable is besides the point, because it's going to be different for everyone. But do you feel like when you were able to be more comfortable with her, your therapist, when you were able to be more vulnerable and more comfortable, do you think that was more beneficial? And the reason I'm asking you this question is because I'm going to relate back to my example in the gym. When I became more comfortable in the gym, when I became more consistent and showed up more, I gained more knowledge, I gained more skill, and I gained more of a routine, right? Now I can start trying new things. Now I know proper positioning, proper form, right? Breath along with it. I'm slowly incrementing, increasing my weight.
Incremental steps.
Exactly. So, do you feel like there were those steps where you became more open, more vulnerable, and that was more beneficial for you in that way?
100%. Yeah. Like I wasn't so scared about the emotion. I think there's a few different things that I recall. Like this is, almost 10 years ago, but probably 8 years ago. And there were certain things I was just so scared to tell her, and like I just remember like just holding back. And maybe I'd even wait like one therapy session. I'd let it go by. And I'm like, okay, no, I was like, it's like, no, I'm going to bring it up next time. Just the things I needed to get off my chest for like to reassure myself I'm okay. Or just certain things that I didn't know how to deal with, that I really needed the answer to be solved, or at least get a better understanding about that scenario for me to help move on in a healthy manner, right? So yeah, as I not even so more comfortable with her, but just more comfortable with myself, and like
Yeah.
being able to realize, and that if I say these things, nothing's going to happen. Like I'm going to have to work through them, and it's going to take time, but yeah, it's nothing bad's going to happen if I say this. Like I'm gonna just irrational
Right.
stuff. You know what I mean? Like so.
Yeah, and that comes back to whatever it is you're trying to incorporate into your life and you're trying to be consistent with to build it into something more like a habit. The more you do it, the more you're going to be able to drop into the benefits of doing so, and maybe deepen the benefits and hone that skill more. Okay. You're putting in the hours, you're being consistent. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. But you can't stay within that comfort, right? You can't stay within that comfort. You have to keep showing up in a place of vulnerability. And when I say vulnerability, I mean you have to allow your environment, or your the people who surround you, to be your teachers, right? And take everything take everything as it is, right? So you don't want to stay closed off, right? You want to allow yourself to be open, and you want to allow yourself to be vulnerable, because there's things around you that can teach you so much. So as you're trying to be consistent, right? As you're trying to build that into a habit, it's important to remember to stay open and vulnerable to allow
Yep.
that the benefits to be even deeper, right? And because plateauing is real. Plateauing's real. And I'm gonna go back, dude. I'm gonna go back to my thing about the gym, right? You can, I've hit points of plateauing in the gym, right? Where let's say 1 week I show up, I do workout,
Yeah.
I do my whole split, you know what I mean? And then the next week I do the same exact split. I do the same exact thing
weight.
with the same weight, with
and
the same
intensity.
mind, with the
You're not
same
gonna get
attention.
better.
You're not gonna get better. Okay.
Yeah.
Try something a
grow
little
or no?
different. Try something a little different. Go up to the guy that's doing something that you've never tried before and say, "Hey man, what are you doing? What muscles is this working out? What kind of form do you want?" Right? Let him teach you something, right? He might know something that you don't. Or maybe not. Who knows? He could be a dumbass, but be open to it. Okay? So that's really important. Last week in the gym, there was something I'd never tried before. It was like a kickback. I don't know how to explain it. You're kind of like, you're set up like this and you're holding it down and you kick back like that. You know what I mean? And that's like glute, that's like hamstring glute. And I saw some guy doing it. And I was
All
like,
the
oh,
girls do, bro.
well, yeah. Come on, kid. So I saw him doing it and I'm like, all right, I've never tried that. So I went up to him and I went, "Hey man, I was like, why do you like this machine?" And he was like, "Oh dude," he's like, "I really like this." He's like, "I play hockey a lot and it sharpens." He's like, "I do it quick, low weight, whatever." I'm not going to get it in the nitty gritty of it, but I asked him a question because I didn't know. I was open to receiving knowledge from him and something that he knows more about than me. And now I incorporated that into my leg day. I love that machine. I did it last week. I tried it that leg day. And I did it this week and it felt
You
great.
see any growth? You feel any good strength?
I felt a different type of soreness in my ass, dude. It felt good. You know what I mean? Because I got my hurt knee that I've been rehabbing for like almost a year now, and it's feeling awesome. So I've been doing a lot of like ankle stuff, hip stuff, quad stuff, calf stuff, trying to strengthen around the knee. But I forgot about my glutes, man, because I couldn't squat. I couldn't squat with my knee, and I'm starting to do goblet squats now. So, but yeah, let's stay open and vulnerable, and let's put the ego let's put it aside, because you're not going to be
Put
able
it aside.
It's an important part of growing that
So
habit.
people get stuck. They don't want to grow because they're too attached to their ego, right? There's
try new things. Don't plateau. Don't plateau.
Let's segue into chapter 1 of Do Hard Things.
You ready to segue it?
Let's do it, brother.
Okay. So, Do Hard Things. Steve Magnus. Right there. Wait. There. Right there. Pop. Dope book. Ronan actually sent this one to me as a suggestion, and
recommendation.
Yep, he recommended it for our next book after we finished The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. So I had brushed by this book a few times and never really taken the time to read the summary. So when I just seen the cover, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So Ronan sent this one over, and I was like, oh, cool. I recognize this. I read the summary, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of perfect. So
it's a perfect segue. We built the foundation of self-sabotage, getting through that, understanding what that looks like, taking everything that's hindering your growth and taking all those blockers and those, I guess, little mini speed bumps out of the way so you can even get to a point where you're ready to grow. Now it's about encompassing that with doing hard things and actually growing. So this book's perfect for that.
Yeah.
And we're going to cover chapter 1 today, and I'm super excited for that. A lot of good stuff in here. Author, I've enjoyed the first chapter. With a new book, you never know how it's going to go or resonate. But, overall, I think chapter 1 was a good segue, and I'm looking forward to reading more. Aiden,
Me too.
do you want to maybe start us off on,
yeah.
If you don't, I will. Okay.
I'll start us off. So as I'm listening to this on audiobook again for this, and Ronan, you're reading the hardcover, right?
Hardcover.
Yep. Okay. So as I was listening to it, I was probably the first 10 minutes, I didn't take any notes. And I've had to pause it, and I found myself kind of like in my head, like worrying, like, oh man, is this the right book? Like, like, I don't know. He was talking a lot about like parenting, and I'm like, I'm not a parent.
He was authoritarian versus,
and then he was talking a lot about coaches, and I'm not a coach. And then I said, you know what, man? Stop. So I paused it, and I put myself back into an open listening ear, because I found myself like critiquing and wondering if this was the right book, and thinking, Ronan, oh, we got to switch this and that. So I found myself going down that road, and I was like, stop, open your ears, press play, and take your notes, because this information is beneficial.
And this goes to what
I will be a parent one day, and we have a podcast. We need to be coaches. We're doing the event in July. We're coaches. So
champion within.
Yeah. I realized, like, wow, okay, this is a perfect book after that resistance, right? So I opened my ear back up, and I started listening. So I wrote down a
lot
little.
Of people would have just wrote that off and be like, no, switching books. No, you gotta stick with it, man.
Right. So I moved through that, and basically, he's in this chapter. I'm gonna overview it in a little blip. He's redefining mental strength, okay? And he's arguing that true toughness isn't about enduring the pain, pushing yourself past that, right? Pushing yourself to the limit, and having the reasoning being, you fear the consequences of not pushing yourself to that limit, right? But the true mental, or the true toughness, is about understanding and strategically navigating that discomfort, leaning into those challenges, and then cultivating a mindset that embraces growth and resilience. So it's similar to The Mountain Is You. Like, this was a part of it, right? But it's going to deep dive into that part of it, right? Because it's so true how, I'm going to put my notes down for a second, and I want to talk about this with you. And like that David Goggins mindset, right?
Dude, I was out to dinner the other night, Rockies in Crown Point, PV, and this guy was talking about Goggins behind me. I go, Goggins! And I got him going on Goggins. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, dude, he says some real stuff, man.
He does. He says some really real shit, and it's awesome. It's awesome shit. Right? It's great. But if you listen to his message and this is kind of going against that mindset. Not really. But David doesn't really do a good job of portraying the importance of the emotional intelligence that it takes to navigate through this discomfort. He doesn't really back that up a lot, right? So he's just basically saying, don't be a bitch, push yourself, pull from the cookie jar, keep pushing. Your mind is trying to stop you. Your body is strong. Continue to push, right?
I will say though that sometimes that's all you need. If you just can focus on that shit and wipe everything else away, like there's a time and place for the emotional intelligence piece. I think that's not always necessary, and that's why I like David Goggins. Is that sometimes you just need to effing do it, man.
Yes, but we're talking about this book. So in this book, the traditional view of toughness is overcoming obstacles with a combination of perseverance, discipline, and stoicism, right? So you think of the military guy that fucking looks like he's not even fazed by that amazing physical feat that he just pushed himself through. You think of, what do you think of with toughness? He's talking about the kind of the overall outlook on toughness as a collective. You know, people like the assumption of toughness. What is the current definition of toughness? And he's trying to redefine it. So toughness is, you know, like you fucking break your leg on your dirt bike and then you fucking get back on your dirt bike and you ride it all the way home. And
I mean, yeah, that is being tough.
Right. But he's redefining toughness.
Yes, Steve Magnus, the writer, the author of this book, is redefining toughness. And JMO, I want you to listen up here while I talk about this. You ready?
JMO.
Not funny.
Okay.
Here we go. Based on your point, and I agree. And I think redefining toughness, I think everyone looks at, you know, the macho guy and be like, oh, he's so strong, he must be really tough. That's not what true toughness looks like.
Nope.
Our society has made the symbol of inner strength and toughness look like The Rock or male figures with huge bravado.
Vin Diesel.
It's often the opposite. True in some scenarios, but not the true scenario.
Right.
Like,
that's a great point. True in some scenarios, right?
It is true in some scenarios, you know, but if you see, you know, I think it can be misconstrued a lot and people can be led down a different, you know, a road of believing that if you see a big macho guy, like maybe he is the most insecure human being who acts with his ego and is always trying to impress people and is not happy with himself. Like maybe he's like that. Even
that's
though he
fake toughness. That's what he talked about in this first chapter was fake toughness, right? Fake toughness is the appearance of power without substance behind it. Control and power driven, developed through fear. Okay? Fueled by insecurity.
Yep.
Right? So he talked about a coach that instills in his players the consequences, the severe consequences of, you know, not hitting the goal, not pushing yourself to the limit, right? So I wrote down a note here that coaches use exercise as a punishment because it makes you want to become better or try harder. This only leads to doing it as a way to avoid punishment. So the only reason that you want to get better, the only reason that you want to push yourself further is because you don't want to get punished, because you don't want to do whatever it is that punishment is, be in front of everyone, get embarrassed, whatever, right? You're doing it from a place of fear rather than a place of growth. You want to grow, you know, so it's the difference, right? And you know, there's you played sports, you've had coaches, you know, there's those coaches, right? High school soccer
honestly,
coach,
I'll be
McCully.
honest, sometimes that works.
Right. Right, and that is why he brought up, what was that coach's name? Bill
Knight, or
Bill Knight. Was it Bill Knight? Find it real quick in the book.
Yeah.
Bill Knight. He was the NCAA.
Bobby Knight.
Bobby Knight, the basketball
he was one of the
coach.
most winning coaches in NCAA history, but
he had the undefeated team, no? Was it him with the undefeated?
I'm not sure, but he would, like, there was video of him like assaulting his players, like choking a player out in practice.
Dude,
like, he was extreme.
He'd hang tampons on the fucking lockers.
Against,
if the guy, if he felt like one of his players was like lacking and he was being a bitch or whatever, he'd hang tampons on the locker, right?
It was like soft, yeah.
Yeah, choking players out, right? So these players fucking fear him. They fear the shit out of him.
For them not to get punished or being humiliated in front of others or like assaulted was they had to perform.
Right. And they did perform. And this is his point, right? They did perform. They showed up. But this is a terrible way.
Yeah.
This is a terrible way because listen to this. And this is amazing. This relates exactly to what we're talking about with the coaches things, but this is an example of the parenting that he used. So Authoritarian parenting leads to lower independence, more aggressive behavior, a high likelihood of substance abuse, and risky behaviors. Right? That's the fear instilling parent that's saying, if you're not home by 10 o'clock, you're grounded. That's the parent that's saying, if you do not get honor roll this this semester, you're grounded. There will be punishment. That's the parent saying that you can't go and do this. The heavy restrictive parent, the authoritarian parent, right? And
let me touch on that real quick.
Yeah.
Authoritarian, in my opinion, and what we've gathered from this first chapter, and what I want everyone to listen to, is authoritarian is a bad thing. It's often punishment and demandingness to an extent where there is no teaching or support. So, solution is here high expectations with high support, right? Yeah. So, problems arise, and this arose with Bobby Knight, even though he was a winning coach. His players, were probably not the most, easygoing, excited for practice kind of guys. They weren't.
No, dude, they feared him and hated him.
Yeah. So, where problems arise when there is an imbalance and one is too high. Like, say, if you have high support but low expectations, the kids aren't going to align, right? If you have high expectations and low support, then it's almost like you're not clear. The kids are, we question, right? Like, okay, why does this person have such high expectations but doesn't support me? Why is this person supporting me so much but has low expectations for me? You begin to kind of second guess, like, okay, so I think we're going to be parents someday, and I think this is a great book to remind me, right, of okay, high expectations for your kids, but also high support, and that's
you need those high expectations. Yes, so and that is the winning recipe.
That's the lesson for today's chapter one of the big ones. So, yeah, do you have anything to add there?
Within this chapter, he really started out with like the difference between demanding and responsiveness, right? And that's how he kind of built the foundation, right? Demanding something. Those are the expectations, but there's no support. Yeah. But when there's the responsiveness, right, to whatever the occasion, that's the support necessary. So responding to the situation in a supportive way, okay? Yeah. But it's not demanding certain expectations or performance in that way. And that's fear versus support. That's fear. Demanding something is instilling some sort of fear. It's an ask without help. There's no guidelines to get there, right? It's just saying you need to.
You're not putting any structure.
Right. But yeah, the thing that's really, really stuck with me the most through this chapter was the fake toughness thing. And I just want to kind of touch back onto that because I've met a lot of people in my life like this. Fake toughness. I'm going to read this again. Fake toughness is the appearance of power without substance behind it. Control and power driven that is developed through fear and fueled by insecurity. I've met so many people in my life like this, right? The first impression you might have from them is like, oh shit. This guy's like, this is a powerful dude. This is a tough dude.
And then then you get to know them, and it's almost disappointing. It's like, damn.
Yeah, and then maybe
and it's sad.
Yeah, something small happens and they fucking freak out. They have a temper tantrum, right?
It's like, oh,
or they fucking scream at their kid and fucking hit them like, or some shit, right?
Figure it out.
People talk about, oh, we should toughen up our kids more in this day and age. Let's fucking start hitting them. We need bullies back in school. That's not the fucking answer, man. Granted, I do agree there needs to be more toughness in this day and age, but not the fucking type of toughness you're talking about.
Aiden, I know what kind of toughness you're talking about, and let me read it. Let me just clarify for our audience. Do you mind?
Go.
Real toughness is experienced, and this is our whole message. Our Quad Shot podcasts this is our message to everyone because we've both been through uncomfortable situations at tough times. Yes, right. And we're on a mission to instill that life gets better if you put parameters, if you have goals, if you have discipline, if you develop yourself. It gets better as a man, and even as a woman. Anyone can do it. But to the toughness we talk about and what you're referring to now is real toughness is experiencing discomfort or distress, leaning in, paying attention, and then creating space to take thoughtful action. That adult dad who gets mad is not tough because he beats his kid or is strong or rips around in his Ford F-450. Like, that doesn't equal toughness. You might see a big jacked up truck and some macho dude, boom, like, I used to think, oh, that guy's a rugged dude. Yeah, he might be rugged, but is he tough?
Is he fucking mentally tough? Is he mentally tough?
Jury's out, my man. So get to know someone. And I always judge on character, and I think you do as well, which is how our society should judge. Judge on character, how you treat other people and yourself. And, a little stuffy. And yeah. So what do you got?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I like circling back kind of like, yes, in this day and age, there needs to be more toughness. I totally agree with that. Things are kind of going haywire.
The opposite direction.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. But that's our message, okay? If you're tough, you know how to navigate discomfort. If you're tough, you know how to deal with the situation that is placed in front of you, no matter the obstacle, and you're going to approach it with clarity. You're going to approach it with knowledge from the past, and you're going to be able to fucking navigate. I love that word. You're going to navigate it, okay? And that's what this chapter is about. That's toughness. That's toughness. You're calm. You're collected. You trust yourself. You trust the knowledge that you've gained along the way, okay? You're open to learning more, and you navigate it, okay? It's not about in your head, like fucking you're dripping sweat, dripping blood, whatever. You're fucking. It's not this isn't about the fear of not doing something. This isn't about the fear of the punishment of not completing this act. This isn't about that macho attitude that you're talking about. That's not what this is about. This is about real toughness, okay? And like I said, this was touched on in the last book, The Mountain is You, Brianna Wiest. But now we're deep diving into the importance of this, okay? And I think this is very prevalent in this day and age, and I'm glad that we're talking about it here and now, because there is that stigma, right? So you have some people saying that we need bullies back in schools and we need to start beating our children again. We need them to be tougher. If we went to war, our military would look like shit. We have people saying that, right? And then we have people that are saying, no, you can't do that. My kid can do whatever they want. That's the supportive side. There's too much support with not enough expectations. And then the other side is the fucking fear-driven side, right? So the dad who slaps his kid with a belt, their kid's gonna fucking hate you. Why would you want your kid to fucking hate you? They're gonna listen to you because they don't want to get fucking lashed up by that belt, but they're gonna hate you. They're gonna resent you. That is terrible. That does not work. What is more effective is the combination and the balance of both. You need to be able to support your child with high expectations. Tell them that they are capable of anything that they put their mind to. Tell them that they have what it takes in order to achieve their dreams. Yes, and then you need to be able to support that with a rigid structure and how to get there. Okay? So if you're not doing your work, you're not going to be able to be that coach that you want to be. You're not going to be able to be the parent that you want to be, right? And if you're not striving to be the best coach that you can, if you're not striving to be the best parent that you can, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you a coach? Why are you a parent? Why did you make the decision to bring someone into this world if you're not trying to be the best parent that you can possibly be? Okay? That's the way I view it, okay? And it's hard to let go of childhood because, you know, I could parent my kids the same way I was raised. That's why abusive families go on for generations. You know, it's interesting. So I think this is a really good book and I'm excited. And he did land at the end here with the 4 pillars. And basically he's like, we're going to be going through the 4 pillars of toughness throughout the duration of this book. Okay.
Ditch the facade, also meaning the ego.
This is
Embrace
pillar.
reality.
Yes, this is pillar number 1. Ditch the facade, embrace reality. Pillar number 2. Listen to your body. Pillar number 3. Respond instead of react. Pillar number 4. Transcend discomfort. Okay. And then he went in to explain his own personal experience. He was a runner. Very good runner at that.
Yep. Trying to do the 4 minute mile or whatever.
Under the 4 minute mile. He was in a race and, you know, he took, you know, behind the lead and he said you got to shut your brain off for the 3/4 of the race and just go behind that person, stare at their back, shut your brain off.
It's like autopilot, right?
Right. And then
use that mental strength in the last half.
And then you kick on. Yep. Then you kick on and push yourself past it. And that's how you're going to reach the goal. Well, anyways, I believe it was on the 3rd lap or the beginning of the 4th lap where he was nearing the end of his race, on track to hit a sub 4 minute mile, which is incredible. And something happened to him where he couldn't breathe and his mind kicked on. He mentioned prior his mind would kick on, but then he was able to turn it off and he kept going and he was nearing the end. But then, boom, his mind kicked on and it was like, I can't breathe. And he said every time he tried to breathe, it was like a, you know, gasping for air. So he had to fucking peel off to the center of the track and just stop running. And then he said he, you know, fell to his knees and it felt like someone like pulled something out of his throat and boom, opened up his airways again and he could finally breathe. And he saw doctors, specialists. I believe he said an allergy specialist was the one who was able to figure it out.
And he had something with this like tranquil, like vocal cord or something.
Can you find that in the book? It was something like that. It was the I want the exact I think it was the last couple pages. I didn't read it.
What else you got for me, kid?
Well, let's stay on this. But anyways, once Ronan finds that, we'll have the exact whatever. So the specialist found out exactly what was wrong with him, and he was explaining to him that what brings this forward, what causes this reaction is actually his mind. Anxiety. We got it? What do we got?
Paradoxical vocal cord dysfunction.
Okay, and that's what was making him stop breathing. So it's actually a diagnosis that someone was able to provide him. But what is the cause of this? The cause of this is anxiety. The cause of this is these thoughts, right? These limiting thoughts. He became anxious and was like, "Oh my God, I can't breathe." Boom, kicks it on.
That enhances the
effects,
I guess, flare up. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that's with anything in life, right? So, I think this is a hell of a first chapter. I think we're getting somewhere here. I've learned a lot from this chapter, especially about parenting. I think that's huge to remind myself, you know. Right. People are going to be watching this podcast, and how do we want to portray ourselves, right? Who are we? You know, and I think we need to keep that in mind. It's like we want to support our audience, but also, you know, and have high expectations, but we want to show up as our best selves, right? And it's a constant evolution. We're on that path. You guys are on that path, I hope. And That's what Quad Shot Podcast is about. That's why we created this thing, is we want to inspire others. You know, maybe it's something we said. Maybe just us showing up and starting this podcast inspires you to start your own,
right?
Or do something that you haven't done before. So,
yep.
Cheers to you guys,
dude. We all have that fire that burns inside of us.
Yeah.
We all have our little light that can grow to be a fucking blaze. Every single person has their inner fire. And we've talked about this before. That inner fire is your purpose. That's your passion. That's what fuels you. That's what you care deeply about. That's your destiny, right? And trusting your gut is going to lead you along that path to creating that fire and spreading it within the community and just getting fueled up, getting fired up. I think that's why we do this, man, because, you know, we've talked about this before, but me and Ronan came to the conclusion. We said, hey, man, I really want to give back to the community. I really want to help people. I really want to help people help themselves. I really want to change myself. I really want to do this and that and this and that, right? So as Ronan and I, as our friendship evolved, right, you have seen me become a completely different person throughout the duration of our friendship. Yeah. And I've seen the same for you. And it's a beautiful thing to see within each other, that growth, right? We inspire each other, we push each other, and we can provide validation for each other. Like, no, dude, remember when you were here? Remember when you wanted to do this and now you're fucking doing it? So we provide that for each other, and I'm very, very grateful for that, man. But that's why we're here together as a collective, providing this platform for people to absorb knowledge, absorb the knowledge that we provide. This is our message.
The knowledge that we've cultivated and that we've took a long time to understand, and we're still growing and learning it. You know, that we start to die once we stop learning, once we stop evolving. You know,
that's it, man. We
might as well be 6 foot under if you're not doing that. So
right, on this podcast, man, on this whole thing, we are learning along with each and every single one of you. We are growing with each and every single one of you. So if you're taking something away from this, that's why we're here. If you're making yourself better from something that you heard along this podcast, that's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. And I love it, brother. I love it. I love this podcast. I love you. Things are fucking
I love it too, bro.
Things are awesome. So any closing remarks? I think chapter 1, this book really aligns with our focus, our message and everything, and I think it's going to be a fantastic book. Even though I did feel a little bit of resistance in the beginning, I worked through that, and as I finish up the chapter, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Away from it.
Oh, 100%.
Take something away from it, bro.
100%.
So, and I already have. So high levels of support, high level expectations equals success. So Quad Shot Podcast, episode 18. We're getting there.
Yep.
Showing up each week, and you guys are too in your lives. So
yes, sir.
We'll be back next week with chapter 2. And any other closing remarks? I'm good on my end.
Everybody have a beautiful week. All right, and let's start incorporating those things. All right, those things you want to hit. Let's start hitting them. Start slow. Hit it though. Right. Create that shift. Create that change. Let's go. All right. Quad Shot Podcast signing off, guys. Appreciate you very much.